The whole thing that I've been trying, at this point, I really do feel like this. You tune in this show and you get tomorrow's news. I mean, we are now so far ahead of what's happening. And the reason is we're not following the narrative. We're following the narrative. We're not following what the press is telling us the narrative is. We are following what the narrative actually is. And that's why we're ahead of the game almost every day at this point. The press is telling us basically the country's in crisis. The people are torn apart. The country is divided. We hate each other. None of that is true. They keep saying these are troubled times. These are not troubled times. These are good times during which the left is angry. That's all that's happening. This has happened. I've seen this at least twice in my life, 2 big times. One, Ronald Reagan came in. There were lines at the gas stations. We had inflation. We had unemployment. Everything was just really awful under the Jimmy Carter administration. Ronald Reagan came in, and it was day after day of we're going to war with Russia. The guy is a madman. He's an idiot. He's a blithering. He's a movie star. What does he know about the government? We thought, oh my gosh, it's terrible. It's a crisis. It wasn't a crisis. It was good times. It was the ship of state being turned around in the right direction, which is what the left hates because they hate this country. They hate the West. They want their system to work, which will give them more power over ordinary folks like us. They do not want this to happen. The second time I saw it was Rudy Giuliani came into a New York that had really hit rock bottom. I mean, New York, you could not go out for a pack of gum without taking your life in your hands. I was there. The city was a cesspool. Giuliani came in every single day in the New York Times. He was a Nazi. He was a bigot. There was this one story where police misused a black suspect. And they had this story. Oh yeah, as they were beating him up, they said to him, "It's Giuliani time." Complete lie. That didn't happen. They didn't say that. I mean, they did abuse this guy, but they didn't say that. Giuliani was on it in a split second. He came down on the cops like that. He turned that city from one of the worst cities on earth to one of the best. And it was him. It was him and his police guys that he brought in, the police commissioners. And every single day, it was just like it is now. The crises, he's horrible. He said this and has obviously meant that. And he hates black people. The whole thing, it's all happening again. And why? So what's happening this time is because like Giuliani and like Reagan, Trump will not stand down. He won't run away. He won't tell them that his conservatism is compassionate. He won't say he's going to be kinder and gentler. He just tells them what he's going to do, and he does it, and he stood up to them. Last week, they slung everything they had. They brought the full Katrina playbook. It's Donald Trump's fault that the border doesn't work. I mean, it's so obvious that this was going on during the Reagan administration. They threw everything at him, and not only, and then when he said, okay, you want an executive order saying we'll put the kids together, as long as we can keep protecting the border, fine. He signs the executive order. That executive order, I do not think it's going to stand, but it just threw them for a loop because now they're stuck with a situation that only the legislature can solve. It's a law. It's a problem of bad law. And Trump is on the offensive. He's going after them. He's saying that Obama did this. He said Obama put him in cages and wrapped him in foil. That was one of his things. And he's just, and he brought out what they call the angel parents. I personally hate this thing where they give everybody an emotional name. It's the angel parents. It's the dreamers. I hate it, but I guess you got to play the game at this point. And he brings in the parents of children who have been killed by illegal immigrant criminals.
None of our kids had a minute to say goodbye. We weren't lucky enough to be separated for 5 days or 10 days. We're separated permanently.
Our separation, like everybody has said, is permanent. Sarah never gets to go on to be a wife, a mother. I brought my son. This is what I have left, his ashes. I wear his ashes in a locket. This is how I get to hug my son.
So Trump is fighting back on their terms. I mean, that's what, this is one of the things I feel so many of my fellow conservatives do not get this, especially the kind of never Trump guys. They do not get that the battle is not between Republicans and Democrats. The battle is between Americanism and the press. The battle is between those who believe in the Constitution, limited government, freedom for the individual, and powers at odds with one another, the states at odds with the feds, the Senate at odds with the House, legislature at odds with the executive. That's what we want. We want them fighting with each other so we can be free. It is against people who believe in that versus the press. versus the socialist press. The Democrats are run by the press. It's not the press. It's not the Democrats running the press. It's the other way around. And they don't understand that that's the fight. And that is what Trump is doing so incredibly well. So a CBS News poll comes out and it shows that most people agree with Trump, build a wall. It shows that most people want the illegals deported. It said like 48%, but when you added all the numbers together, it was really a majority said somehow or other they've got to be sent back. You know, it's not that people are unkind like me. I don't want to see the parents torn away from their children. I just want the border secure. That's all I want. I want us to decide who comes in. I want the legislature to get off their patoots and argue with each other and compromise with each other and make a better law and make a sensible way that we can defend our borders. And all the left wants is they want these new voters coming in, and all the people to Wall Street Journal want, and I love that paper, but they are just wrong about this, is they want people to water their damn lawns. And that is what they're bringing in because they don't have to get minimum wage. They aren't protected like our workers. But it's ridiculous. It's not restrictionist to expect the law to make sense and the law to be enforced. That is not restrictionist. That's what the Wall Street Journal keeps calling it.